Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's go into the patient ward. Well, that's interesting. A curved spine twists this woman's posture forward, her greasy hair draped over her large eyes like vines. You must be visiting someone. Then, noting your appearance, she adds, a friendly visit, I hope. What do you know about this Animancer Azo? Oh, I like him very much. Many Animancers could care less about their patients. Look at us like vermin for their experiments, but Master Azo treats us like humans, even the very sick. You can tell he does this to help people. He's helped me understand a great deal about myself, and I know he's done the same for others. It's too bad what they did to him. He hides it well, but I know he's still affected by it. What happened? Dart back and forth, her voice lowers just above a whisper. They don't like to talk about it, but there was an accident. He was said to be one of the brightest in Deerwood. That was his reputation here, and that was what brought me to seek treatment. People say it was ego that drove him to try and solve the legacy, but that's hogwash, even if he was a bit of a showman. He loves his homeland. He thought he could help. He wasn't one to speak of his work, suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it, but he told me once that he had figured out a way to create a soul. Not a soul exactly, mind you. How did he put it? A proxy, I think he called it? Had some machine that drew energy out of the very ether. Can you imagine? The point is, it was going to help with the legacy. It was going to make Hollowborn into something easier to love and care for. Gods know that's something we need. Do you know what they call those empty little babies in Andra's gifts? If you could just finish what you were saying. Anyway, Master Azo had scheduled a public demonstration of his work in Copper Lane. He was so excited. And then the next day, he was locked in his office, turning away visitors, I heard. And he stopped seeing patients. I don't know exactly what happened, and I don't have the heart to ask him. But I'm glad they're letting him treat people again. Have any patients been acting unusual? Well, there's Batixa? Who relives a murder she committed more than 5 lifetimes ago. Idleman, who they say only has half a soul, and who was found collecting the faces of others because he believed his own to be a false one. Oh, that's great. Graham, he speaks in a language no one understands and wails at night sometimes. Different from their normal behavior, I mean. Well, yes, I suppose, but nothing they didn't volunteer for. Master Azo let us know that a number of patients in the Northwood have volunteered for new therapy and will be escorted to his laboratory to receive treatment. The North Ward has our most troubled cases. I'm glad some of them have chosen to get help. It seems to me it's gotten quieter over there since it started. Probably because they're dying? It's Graham I see them taking in the most. He struggles, but he always was a bit of a wild one. I think I've seen him around today. Have you checked the laboratory? He shares a wall with this office. He's been spending most of his time there lately. They like to keep them separate. I don't know that I've ever seen the guards allow a visitor, just Master Azo. You might ask him, he's very sympathetic. I'm sure he is. I don't want to say you'll think less of me. Ah, why not? We'll find out. I wouldn't worry about that. When you blush, it brings out the color of your eyes. No, I'm listening. These last few years haven't been kind to me. They haven't been kind to anyone, really. I try not to think of it as personal. I lost my husband and both boys in the Saints' War. My daughter, the legacy took her before she was ever mine. I may do. What else can you do? I moved into a tiny place on Andra's gift, got by mending clothes and on the kindness of strangers when I had to. But I was surviving and the gods were watching over me. I could live with that. Then one day this noble woman comes in, wants this fancy gown fixed. Gorgeous thing. This shade of blue I'd never seen before. Only I had. I looked at it and it reminded me of something. I had what they call an awakening. I remembered being a noblewoman myself in another life. People doting over me. Men doting over me. Me! The best food, the most beautiful home. All the things you'd never dare to dream of. They were mine. It was poison, knowing that. All those things I had that I'll never have in this life. It did something to me. My food started to taste rotten. The walls in my little room seemed to close in around me. I stopped being able to sleep in my own bed. So I came here. It was that or break into an estate and start ordering servants around. It seems like such a silly thing to worry about. You don't have to tell me, but I can't get past it. And I start to wonder, did the gods choose this life for me? And if so, what terrible thing must I have done to deserve it? Maybe you'll get there again one day. Sure. The strange part is I think even the best wouldn't be good enough for me anymore. I think it must have gotten to the point where I was that noble lady. Huh. Well, whatever.
I've got it.
Raven Wing. +4 accuracy when attacking the same target as an ally. And damage when attacking the same target. And damaging. Alright, so I never did give you an actual weapon focus. You got the soldier. Is that a mace? Warhammer. Damn it. Damn it. Huh. But you're the one who has a warhammer. But that's the guarding one. So no one here really uses the maces. Well, they don't have a focus on the mace. Oh, here, I guess we can do this. We'll do that. Okay, let's go talk to this guy.
I'll get it open.
After stealing all of his stuff. What's the recovery speed? 25%? You guys are wearing robes. Give it a shot. I don't know. A round-faced, balding man turns to face you. His upper lip is pulled upward slightly by his pointed nose, exposing his upper teeth when he scowls.
What is the meaning of this?
Ethelmore told me you're not supposed to be doing any more experiments. Yes, well, Ethelmore hasn't done much good for anybody since he has his soul moved to an inanimate object. So I fail to see why I should let that sway me. If animators all followed the commands of their leaders, where would we be? We'd all be as backward and willfully ignorant as Red Saras. We would know nothing about life or death or even ourselves. We would be lost in the dark with no clues as to why. Animators must push the boundaries of knowledge, but you must be careful, Azo. Even Defiance Bay isn't as safe for research as it once was. Sure.
Is that a reason to stop trying? Shall we remain in the dark until the end of time and have the last breath of the last person alive be breathed in ignorance? The gods want us to know. The clues are all around us. In understanding these truths, we honor their creation. Who will solve Widewen's legacy? Some church? Some warrior? It will be an animancer, or it will be no one at all.
How'd that happen? His nostrils flare and he bares his upper teeth more broadly. That's none of your concern. Did one of the others put you up to this? Oddmere? That smug weasel. Things went wrong. Everything. I don't know how. I'll never know. He spits on the floor as if to remove a bitter taste from his mouth. Have you tried experience on other subjects? I have, yes. No point in lying about it now that Ethelmere is involved. I asked for volunteers for more patients and a few brave souls came forward. I was very close at one time to a breakthrough. They understood that. They understood their sacrifices would mean something. Did they? Out of the question. Those patients are in isolation for a reason. Your forehead seems damp all of a sudden. Perhaps I should discuss your insubordination with the head warden.
You smug cretin.
I'm gonna hit you in the face.
How dare you come down here and meddle? You have no idea the importance of my research.
He balls up his fist and digs his teeth into his index finger. A growl is simmering beneath his breath and a deep scowl compressing his face.
Fine. Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
Thanks. That's all I wanted. I guess. Nice, these are just different cells.
Nice.
Oh,
Some
alright.
slow.
A lot of these flesh constructs around. Is this my face? Tell me. Okay.
Hey, of course.
This man has the look in his eye of a hunted animal, and as at your approach, he staggers backwards to the far corner of his cell, halfway appearing as though he would climb the walls if it would get him farther away from you. He cries out, a bizarre primal utterance, like nothing you've ever heard. Graham looks at you blankly. It is unclear whether he understands you or not, but his panic has momentarily subsided. He opens his mouth to speak, but the words that come out are half-formed, as though his tongue were cut out. They are impossible for you to discern, if indeed they are words at all. His mind has been broken, Watcher. Some trauma, some cruelty is at work. Let's do the perception thing. He looks at you with uncertainty. Slowly, tentatively, he steps closer to the front of his cell, and as he does so, for the first time, you can perceive his soul within your ken? Within your ken? Whatever. It is misshapen, as though made by some jagged instrument, and large expanses of it have been gouged out entirely. You feel no barriers of resistance. If you wanted to, you could look further. Sure. You project out towards the maimed soul in front of you, merging with it, its confusion and fear becoming yours as it whisks you into its depths. You're in a cell. A key turns, the door creaks open on neglected hinges. Thoughts come to you in waves, incomplete, broken, fearful. Standing at the door is a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. He beckons, apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else? In your mind is... Wait. You don't want to go. Anything else? In your mind is a single word, and the word is no. But it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the back wall. Cornered, you cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks into the room carrying a lit candle, its meager flame casting long shadows across books and machinery. Straps bind your arms and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head and the breadth of your chest. The man is sorry. He is in need of raw materials. They dismantled his work and he needs another source. He needs to show them he was right. He thanks you. Then he turns a knob and you feel yourself begin to crack from within, and you can feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats. And you are screaming, a scream that you can barely hear. Another night. Heavy footsteps outside your door, coming for you. You look through a slit in your door. The flesh giant, the artificial being, just outside but facing left. Facing the end of the hall. The boy there. The boy looks with interest at the giant, then collapses on the floor like a shed snakeskin. The giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away, and leaves. Interesting. Graham looks at you, still wild-eyed, but somehow more present. He nods at you, then walks back to the end of his cell. So the boy can take over those flesh golems, huh? A willowy adolescent boy stands at the center of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead, the occasional blink his only movement, and it is unclear whether he registers your presence at all behind his glassy, doll-like eyes. In this state, the barriers between your soul and his are thin and porous, easily bypassed. You close your eyes and edge forward towards the boy's soul, and as you near, a sudden malaise comes over you. You are cold and warm all at once, sweating and shivering and straining for breath as you did on the caravan journey. The soul you approach is the wrong one, a parasitic plant that strangles its host. It is predatory and pitiless, and you have crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract, and already you feel yourself plunging into some interminable abyss of thought and memory. You are standing in a cell now, the same cell in the sanitarium. The halls are moonlit and empty, and you are waiting. At the far end of the ward, the door opens, revealing a flesh golem in silhouette beneath the stone archway. It makes its usual rounds, the same stops every time, the misbegotten child of despondent creators. When the construct is close, you coil yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as though it were a membrane. You can sense his body behind you collapsing to the floor, a puppet whose strings are cut. You are rushing toward the golem now, bodiless as a gust of wind. Quickly, you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. You pass into the golem's shell and overtake the soul implanted within, encircling it, suppressing it, and contained in this new vessel, you are strong again. You step, heavy-footed, down corridors unheeded by the other constructs and scrutinized only by the wary, untrustworthy eyes of the mad, coming at last to an office piled with books and scribbled papers and the perverse implements of animancy. You set your oversized hands upon a large machine, a nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center of the room, and go to work, bending wires in unsettling alignments. Your surroundings are pulled past you, or perhaps you are pulled past them, and they dissolve into a blur. When they settle into place again, you are outside on a clear day, standing in front of a crowd stacked high above you on the tiered seats of an amphitheater. You are acting for the crowd, standing deliberately still, but this is no play. A balding man with rodent-like features is strapping you to a machine, the one you had tampered with. You see your arms for the first time, short and fleshy, unmistakably those of a little girl. But this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same hardness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous. Unlike the others, this one has no soul of its own. The man speaks and the crowd applauds with an enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. "Bear witness," he says, and he pulls a lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bead of sweat rolls down the side of the man's brow, but the crowd's apprehension quickly gives way to awe as a crystal globe fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve and the glow crawls through a tube. Along the length of copper wiring that runs to a set of electrodes beneath your armpits. You feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be, for you have been leading his work astray periodically for some time, altering notes and settings and playing puppeteer for Hollowborn. You make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with a soul. In a moment, the machine goes dark, and the man unstraps you, eyeing you with a scientist's concern. He looks back up at the crowd. "Behold," he says, but there is an obvious hesitation in his voice. Slowly, you take a plodding step forward, then another and another. You look up at the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable, and the crowd gasps. The man looks relieved. "How do you feel?" he asks at a volume meant for the crowd, and this is the moment. At the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes towards you, his hands outstretched, but you run the other way back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the crystal globe, and it shatters, streaking your head with warm blood. You drive your head down onto the surface of the machine again and again, drawing panic screams from the crowd, and by the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function and merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search of another unsuspecting host. Who would put their faith in animancy now? You are pulled again from your surroundings, transcending the boundaries of memories and lifetimes, deeper and deeper, past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies that form the thick webbing of plots beyond mortal comprehension. You settle at last on a room you have seen before, expansive, with a tall device encasing an Adra monolith at its center. The room is filled with people, and the people all look at the device. You are yanked suddenly back to reality, and the once catatonic boy in the cell is looking directly at you, appraising, calculating. There is no mistaking now that it is the soul of Theos Ix Arcanon, the man you have been searching for, that gazes out from the borrowed husk. A watcher. Yeah, sure, let's threaten this man. Is that so? He makes no effort to hide his disinterest, but he continues to search your eyes. He makes a slight grunting noise, and his eyes soften for an instant, and it seems for that moment that he recognizes you. He opens his mouth to speak, then seems to think better of what he was about to say. His jaw tightens. I know your look. You hunger. Hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You are like everyone. I will help you let go. He dodges backwards with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face, there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then suddenly, he slumps forward. Hey, the minor adventure's completed. Wow, I have to kill all these people? Well, we should probably move our casters to the back. You go take them. We'll try and take this flesh construct. Extra defenses. No, just do the normal attack. What? A caster, eh? Well, let's have everybody considered flanked. And let's cast some stuff here. How about the rolling flame?
No good.
Shed no.
That's it.
Ah, cool.
So much for you.
Hey.
Sounds like not all is well in the sanitarium anymore. Well, let's end this one here, and then we'll most likely have to fight through guards and stuff on the way out, I'm guessing. I see a body right there. Oh, that crazy, what's his name? Theos something. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all in the next... Ooh, actually, before we go, let's just quickly level up here. Armored Grates. I don't think we really ever want to get rid of this Warhammer, so if I was to give him a weapon specialization... Which one has the Warhammer? Soldier. But that's just increased damage, and he's not really the... Unbending. Causing to regenerate 50% of endurance loss from an attack. He doesn't usually even get hurt. Sweeps the fighter's melee weapon in a large arc, knocking enemies prone 2 times per rest. That's like the charge. Let's see. Critical hits be converted to hits and hits converted to grazes. 20% of grazes converted to hits. Yeah, why not? We'll give him more things to do. Into the fray.
What is it?
5% burn damage per wound. Increase move speed. Okay. Let's see. Requires 2 wounds. Targets bumped by others out of the way. Bounces. Foe target. Push. Prone. Calls upon the power of the monk's psyche, reflecting half of ranged missiles, targeting only the monk back to the point of origin. Oh yeah, that thing. Generates a shockwave around the monk each time he or she gains a wound, inflicting a small amount of damage to, and possibly calling an interrupt on all enemies in the area of effect. Does crush damage versus fortitude. That's not bad. Increased move speed's not bad either. That can get him to the casters pretty quickly. Let's do that. Alright, so thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care.